Hey love bugs, welcome back to another Tarot Lover Reviews. Today we are taking a look at Neopets, the official tarot deck. So if you've heard of this tarot deck or you haven't, hopefully this review and the flip through that comes afterwards helps you to decide on whether or not this tarot deck is right for you. Now, if you want to skip to the flip through, you can take a look down in my description. I break down all the suits into chapters to make it easier for you to locate exactly where you want to start in the flip through. But right now we are going to talk about the packaging. We're going to talk about the guidebook, and we're going to talk about the cards, cardstock, the backing, the texture, imagery, naming convention, everything. So if you're interested in that information, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, feel free to head on over to the flip through. So let's go ahead and get into the packaging. So as we saw in the beginning, the front part of the box. Now, the publisher here is Andrew McNeil Publishing, and you'll see that in a second here. And the pricing is on the back of this box. It may vary for you, just keep that in mind. But the box opens like so, and this is the interior of the box. Now, you know me and the packaging. It has to be sturdy because I am always afraid. I have pets, I have kids. I'm afraid that someone's going to knock this down or a tarot deck down and the cards are going to get damaged. I don't want that. So I'm always looking and happy whenever I find packaging that is thick enough to handle those particular types of situations. So as you can see with this one, the packaging is thick enough to be able to handle it. Now, I'm not saying, if your tarot deck falls from a 2-story building, you know what I mean? I'm saying a simple drop from like a foot, 2 feet away tops. That I can at least say the packaging is going to protect the tarot deck from getting damaged. If you drop it from any higher than that, you're chancing it, okay? So this is the interior. I love purple and blue. That's just my jam. But love the interior, very simple. So that is the packaging. Now let's go ahead and talk about the guidebook. This is your guidebook. So similar picture as the front of the packaging. And then you have constellations, and the constellations is on the box as well. You just kind of really can't see it from far away, but it is there. So there's the connection between the two. And then in the booklet, now I just recently got this, so I haven't really gone through it. So right now we're going to go through it together. But as you can see, there are pictures of each of the cards for you to help understand what the meaning of that card is. Now, based off of what I can see right here, you get a paragraph that talks about the character that is in that card. So this tarot deck, if you guys do not know, this tarot deck is based off of a popular game that was back in the late 90s. So I think 1999 to early 2000s, this was all the rage. Neopets was all the rage. You took care of your pets. It was just big. It was like Tamagotchi, right? A little upgraded version of Tamagotchi. So that's why the nostalgia for me is here, because I grew up with Neopets. I believe it is still available online too for you to play. So feel free to take a look. But for each of the cards, you do get a paragraph that explains that card with that character. So it gives you, if you know all of these characters, it gives you an even clearer understanding of that card from that character's perspective. And then it goes into the meaning of the card as a tarot card. So I love that. And then followed by a reversed section. So that is always awesome. Let me check to see. I did also notice as I was like looking at the book, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's minor, but you can see the cut marks on the sides of the pages. I don't know if you guys can see. Anyways, I just noticed that. But in regards to, yes, they do. I love it. I love it. Let me tell you who, if they do tell you, who is the author? Okay, so the art is by Amy Schultz and Anthony Connolly, and the guidebook was done by Crystal Rice. I want to make sure that I give their props for all of that. But yeah, dude, they do have tarot spreads in there, so you get you have one card reading, an explanation on how that works, a 3-card reading, you have a 5-card tarot spread, and you get the Celtic Cross tarot spread. So you get a few tarot spreads in the guidebook, which is what I'm always happy about. I'm so happy whenever they include tarot spreads within the guidebook, because it just makes it so much easier. But other than that, it does kind of go in a little bit about how to get started. And then that's pretty much it. How to get started, your tarot spreads, and then it goes into the major and then minor arcana. So that is your guidebook. And it's a pretty hefty sized book for the size of it, you know, the smaller size. So I love the guidebook. Let's talk about the cards. So the backing of the cards, this is what it looks like. Now, the only thing about this, especially if you read in reversals and you pick cards and you keep them face down, you're going to know whether or not your card is in reversed by just looking at the butterfly. So that's a bit of a downside. I mean, I'm not knocking the back, the imagery on the back. It's beautiful, but I like when the back art is mirrored so that you can't tell whether or not a card is upright or reversed. Because for me, my brain is already starting to, you know, the wheels are already starting to turn if I see a card like this. Okay, I know it's reversed. Okay, I got to get in that mindset. And I'm already trying to jump the gun, and I don't like doing that, but it's kind of hard to get out of that. But hence why I do not read in reversals. All the cards I already know as a reversal. I don't necessarily need it this way. I think the imagery just throws me off, but that's a me thing. Okay. Sorry, just kind of went off on a tangent there. But yeah, that is the back. You see the rounded edges, which I absolutely love. You have a matte finish, which, you know, I'm sucker for a matte finish. The cardstock. The cardstock is a tad thick, and how I know that is based off of the way, or when you try to shuffle in that riffle shuffle method. So what I mean by that is when you split the deck and you try to shuffle it like this, right, and weave them in. If you have a lot of tension when you try to bend the cards this way, chances are your cardstock is thicker than normal. If you can bend it with ease and there's still some tension behind it, then you have a really good cardstock. At least in my opinion, you have a really good cardstock. Some people, and it's all based off of preference. Some people like it when the cards are very flexible so that they can shuffle in that riffle shuffle style. But that does not mean that you have to shuffle that way. I just find it very easy to visually give you an idea of the cardstock, you know, because sometimes you have to hold the cardstock to know exactly whether or not it's going to work for you. And through a video, it's kind of hard to say, oh yeah, this is a thick cardstock, when to you, it may not be a thick cardstock. So I try to use that as an example and show you as I'm trying to shuffle it in that method on how hard it might be to bend the cards. But you don't have to shuffle that way. You can do the, you know, the under over shuffle that a lot of people like to do. You can, I don't want to do that because I don't want to ruin my cards, but you can throw them up in the air and grab the cards, or grab the cards that are face up. However you want to shuffle, it's totally up to you. There is no right or wrong way to shuffling. It is what works for you. Okay, so that is the card stock. Now let's talk about the card size, because these are a little bit bigger than your average tarot card. So this is a standard Rider-Waite-Smith tarot card here, and you can see based off of the size difference that there's a difference, right? So this might alter the way, well, not alter, this might make it a little bit difficult for you to shuffle because the cards are a little bit bigger. If you have smaller hands, you might have a hard time shuffling it in that riffle shuffle, but you can find different ways to be able to riffle shuffle. You don't have to do it this way. You could do it at the corners. You can shuffle, you know, riffle shuffle it on the sides. However, when you will find a way to do it that works best for you, is what I'm trying to say. So that is the size, the backing, the cardstock of this deck. So let's go ahead and talk about the imagery and the naming convention of this tarot deck. So I'm always doing a comparison up against the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. The reason why I do that is because a lot of the guidebooks out there that you want to purchase separately and not use the guidebook from this deck, they're all based off of the imagery and the naming convention of the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. So if you are using, you know, if you use a tarot deck, you want to make sure you can utilize it with other guidebooks that you might have, right? So that's why I want to do the comparison, so you know how far off the imagery from this one is from the Rider-Waite-Smith. Definitely comes in handy if you are a new tarot reader and you're wanting to move away from the imagery from the Rider-Waite-Smith and doing something more modern, something more you, right? So let's talk about the naming convention for this tarot deck. It's exactly the same, easy peasy. You have all the major arcana named the same way. All the minor arcana are named the same suit. So Pentacles, Cups, Wands, and Swords. And then the court cards are the same as well. Page, Knight, Queen, and King. So there's nothing different from the Rider-Waite-Smith to this tarot deck. Now, let's talk about the imagery. The imagery is going to be different. It's going to be different because it's going based off of the theme of the tarot deck, which is Neopets. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be completely different. When you look at each of the cards, it is it's the inspiration is pulled from the Rider-Waite-Smith. That's what I'm trying to say. So it does pull from it. You do get the vibe of what that card is. It may not look exactly like the Rider-Waite-Smith, but the inspiration behind each of the cards is based off of the Rider-Waite. So you still get the vibes. You know what the card is. And yeah, so the imagery to me, it's perfect. And I'm happy. I am so incredibly happy that this tarot deck is not a pip deck. And if you don't know what a pip deck is, pretty much what it is the minor arcana, especially cards 2 through 10, do not depict a story. They only depict the number of that particular suit. So if you did the 10 of Pentacles, right? Instead of, you know, there being a family in this like castle-y kind of area, you know what I mean? The iconic Rider-Waite-Smith 10 of Pentacles. For a pip deck, you would only see 10 pentacles and that's it. No story, no additional images. Those are pip decks. This is not a pip deck. Every card has a story, and I am so happy that they did that, because I feel like that doing it as a pip deck is in taking, and this is my opinion, okay, don't take it as gospel. I feel like that's the easy way out. Taking the easy way out is just creating a pip deck so you can quickly create it. You only have to worry about the major arcana, 22 cards, and then all the minor arcana, just really easy to do kind of thing. They did not do that with this, and I'm so happy that they didn't. I thoroughly enjoy all the images, and you'll see it in the flip through in a second. I thoroughly enjoy all the images that they have in this deck. It is fun, it is whimsical, it is nostalgic for sure. So yeah, that's the imagery. I absolutely love it. It's such a fun deck to have for sure. If I had any pain points to point out on this deck, it would be how the deck was manufactured. I know that's not the creator's fault, it's the manufacturer's fault, but let me show you, because I noticed this the minute I took the deck out after it came in the mail. Can you see that? So there is a chip or a scratch on the card, but it is on all the cards. You just can't see it until you do this, and then you can see it straight up across. Like, let me see if you can see it on the other side. Yeah, you can see it on the other side too. This is upside down. So, I mean, that is a manufacturer problem. See, I'm telling you. And how it's cut. This is what happens when it's mass produced and the cutting press is not top notch. And that causes all these little defects within the cards. Of course, you're not going to see it as the person receiving the message. You know what I mean? But for me, it makes me sad because I love this tarot deck. I think it's such a beautiful, cute idea. But just to see these things hurts my heart. It does. But yeah, that is the only little pet peeve pain point that I have with this deck, which has nothing to do with the creator, the artist, the author. None of that has nothing to do with them. It's just the manufacturer and how they cut everything for shipment. So yeah, other than that, let me know if this was helpful at all. If it was, leave a like and check out my channel. Let me know if there are any other tarot decks that you might be interested in a review on. I will check it out. I am trying to limit how many tarot decks I buy because I want to be able to utilize these tarot decks. I don't want to just buy it because I want to review it. I want to be able to utilize them too. So I am being very selective with the tarot decks that I review, mainly because of that. But let me know and take a look at my channel and see if there's anything else that interests you. But without further ado, here is the flip through, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.